This is Lenny Wennerstrom, Common Sense Health Expert. Welcome to the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. Without your health, there isn't much joy in life, so here we talk about all facets of health, including lots of unconventional strategies, tools, and solutions from a holistic point of view. This podcast is all about motivation, inspiration, and expansion of your mind, your body, and your spirit, because your health is your number one asset, and my job is to help you protect it. Now, on to today's episode of the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. This podcast does not provide medical advice. The purpose is to promote consumer knowledge and information on various health topics. Always seek the advice of your qualified health practitioner. Hi, everybody. It's Lenny Wennerstrom with the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast, and I have Dave Stetzer back on. He created a multitude of videos for us so that we can literally see what is going on with electricity that's coming into our bodies, how it is affecting us, and in the air, and just all around us. So he's been amazing at this, and creating these videos is just going to really help us understand what's happening to our bodies with electricity, Wi-Fi, and all of those things. So Dave Stetzer, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead. This is basically in a nutshell, if you will, kind of wrapping up our last, plus adding with your videos some other questions. And so let's start with the earthing mat one. And I didn't understand exactly because the graph was a little beyond over my head. I didn't quite understand that. The other ones are very self-explanatory and show a lot, but I do have a few questions on those as well. So could you start with the earthing mat and how, basically, can you explain that?
Okay, sure. In North America, we have what we call a grounded Y system. And so the electrons that leave the substation, the utility substation, has to return to the utility substation. So we send them out on a wire, those three wires that when you drive down the road, you see three wires up on top and you see one on the bottom. Okay, so all the electrons.
You mean on the poles?
The poles, yes.
Oh, so there's always one on the bottom.
Yeah, okay. The one on the bottom is what we call a primary neutral wire.
Okay.
That's the wire that takes the current, the imbalance current, back to the substation. Mm-hmm. Well, the wire's too small now in most cases because we've changed our loads. So what happens is they drove a ground rod in 1992 on every pole. So by 1998, 70% of all the current that goes out on the hot wires, the phase wires, returns to the substation via the earth. Well, where do you stand? Where do you walk? Your water pipes, your gas pipes, all those things are in the ground. So now that ground wire, that when even in your outlet plug, that little outlet plug with the ground, the round one,
right,
that goes directly, there's a wire that goes directly back to your service panel, then it goes directly back to that primary neutral wire. So you wouldn't climb up a pole, hook a wire onto that bottom wire, and then bring it in and lay on a mat. Would connect it to a mat and lay on it. But no, that's basically what you're doing.
Wow.
So now, in North America, we use 60 cycle. It means that the electrons are going, reversing 60 times per second. Okay? Mm-hmm. So all the electrons are moving at 60 times per second. But now with all these nonlinear loads, electronic loads, we chop up the sine wave. So some of the electrons are moving faster, like a certain percent would run it like a third harmonic. We create harmonic currents. And so if you look at the video, you'll see this bar graph, and you can see it goes down. So all the electrons move at 60 cycle. But some of them, 30%, 20%, whatever, is moving at 180 times per second. And some of them are moving at 300 times per second. And some of them are running way out in just a few percent, are running way out into the kilohertz per second. So in other words, you're not only laying on this mat, when you expose your body to this mat, you're laying on it. It isn't just 60 cycle that you're laying on. You're lying on high frequencies as well. And anything above 2 kilohertz, all that energy dissipates internal to the human body.
Wow. And 2 kilohertz, that's kz, right? Is kilohertz?
Mm-hmm. 2,000 times per second.
Wow. And so we're talking about cancer, we're talking about leukemia, which is cancer of the blood. And we're talking about the, uh, what is it when you feel really tough, fibromyalgia and all
Chronic fatigue,
chronic,
ADD, ADHD,
yeah.
all those things, yes, are related, according to the medical research, is related to this.
So if people are feeling after grounding or earthing on their earthing mat all night, they probably don't get a good night's sleep, and probably have other health issues to boot. And these frequencies you said like 160 and 300, or you mentioned different numbers. So those variable frequencies, does that create more damage to DNA and to the cells and stuff?
Well, if you move your hand across the table and you move it 3 times faster,
Yeah.
it takes more. If there's more energy there, but you
Right.
have some heat, some things like that. Now move it 5 times faster. Okay, it's like if 5 of us are in the room,
Yeah.
and we say, okay, Lenny, go over here and pick up that screwdriver and bring it back.
Yeah.
And you do it in a certain amount of time. And then the second person has to do it twice
Mm-hmm.
in the same amount of time. Third person has to do it 3 times, but he has to do it in the same amount of time, you see. Now, if you take the number 625 and you put 16 zeros behind it, that's the number of electrons that are in 1 ampere. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah. So, you can draw it out, you get to be this huge number, right? So take off 3 zeros, that's 1 milliamp. Take off 6 zeros, right? That's only a microamp. That's a millionth of an amp. So you can see how much energy. So you can say, well, yeah, there's much current there. It doesn't take much current to really do some damage, okay? Especially to human cells.
I wanted to try and okay, we're talking about amps, but you in your videos you talk about microwatts per square or per meter square,
Yes.
and then you also talk about kilohertz. Like what's the difference, and how do you, I mean, do you measure with that meter that you can purchase from the Stetzerizer? I mean, how do you know the difference? Like, I know you have the oscillator, not oscillator. What's it called? Is it an oscillator?
The filters?
No, 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 no. Your machine, the awesome oscilloscope.
Oscilloscope. Okay. Yeah.
Oscilloscope.
Okay.
So, so that's, what does that measure? What's the
The
measurement?
oscilloscope's going to measure that you can actually see the actual waveform.
But does it
You can
measure
see,
microwatts, or does it?
no, that doesn't measure that. There's different kinds of energy, okay?
Right.
And so electrical energy. What's on the building's wires, okay, that can be measured in amperes or voltage, things like that, okay? So then we can use the oscilloscope. We can actually see the actual waveform, things like that. Now, when we measure something that's coming through space, energy from like Wi-Fi, cell phones, radar, something like that, we want to measure it in power density, it's called, okay? So we're measured in microwatts per meter squared is 1 nanotesla or Tesla. There's different measurements, but it can be converted, okay? So we in North America usually use microwatts per meter squared. The Eastern Bloc countries are going to measure it in or Tesla, okay? But it can be converted. It's like feet and meters, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. You can go on the internet and convert it, but microwatts per meter squared, okay? And so the Russians say that 10 microwatts per meter squared may be acceptable, okay? They don't say it's safe. Safe level is 0. Okay?
Right.
Dr. Neil Cherry, who was a New Zealand doctor, and he was commissioned by the European Parliament, and he came out with a report in 1998 called the Cherry Report. He was commissioned to do a review of the literature, the medical literature out there, and he cites hundreds of published peer-reviewed papers, and so from universities around the world, and he says the safe level is 0, and I'm going to side with him. The Russians say 10 microwatts per meter squared may be acceptable. So if you're 10 feet away from your Wi-Fi, for example, you will read over 2,000 microwatts per meter squared. Now, the meter that we used that, made the noise, I had to turn the noise up so that you could kind of hear it. And we're not professional video people. So
those are great videos.
Kind of cobbled it together, here. But so what happened is you're pegging the meter. The meter only reads up to 2,000. And of course, anything over that, I mean, you're reading 2,000. You shouldn't be in that environment anyway.
Yeah, and what did you say with that? I mean, 80 microwatts stops a human heart. 60.
No. Now we're going to go back to current again.
Oh, okay.
60 microamps, 60 millionths of an amp.
Okay.
Will stop a dog's heart. 80 will stop a human heart.
Okay.
So the ground current, when you're laying on the ground blanket, the grounding and things, you're actually bringing current into your body.
Yeah.
Or if you look in that video where we're showing the fluorescent lights, for example.
Yes.
And you can hold your hand up closer to the light. You notice when she held it closer, it increased the amperage going into her body. Well,
so if you're not close, because she had to lift her arm before it really made a difference under the fluorescent.
No, you could see it. The reason we had her lift her arm is to show that it was from the light. The closer you got to the light, the more current was going through her. But it definitely, there was current going through her body, even if she sits in the room, a small amount. The compact fluorescent light, the snaky light bulbs, that's 27 microamps or something usually, that you're getting there. The computer, you've seen the computer, that's about 23, 24. I don't remember what it is.
And how many are safe in that, are safe on that? Where should it be, like 0.35 or something like that?
No, we want 0 really.
Right.
But again, 60 will stop a dog's heart. Right. 80 will stop a human heart. Right. So then the question is, how much damage is being done at 30 or 20 or 16? You see? Yeah, there's definitely. And I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know.
Right. So 0 would be the ultimate, but but if you're in someplace, so here's my question on, like, if you're in an office, which a lot of people are in offices with fluorescent lights or LEDs that are not the kind that you talked about, the Xylo, the one that you found. What is it? Xylo. I need to get the spelling of that too. Xylotech, 100 watt is okay. How do you spell Xylotech so people can get?
Actually, it's right here. I have it in a box. It says Zilotech. Okay. Xylotech. And now, this is one that we've tested. This is a 100-watt light bulb, and I'm not selling them. And I think it's a private label for Menards. It's like Home Depot or something,
Oh, okay.
So Menards, we have a lot of them here, but I'm not sure,
Yeah, I don't have one, but I've seen them as we RV across the country. I didn't know what Menards was.
And I'm sure you can go online and get them right from Menards. But we've tested them. We use them here. They're fine. You can go right up next to them and not have any problems. Incandescent, if you can go back to the old incandescent, is really the best.
Yeah, I noticed on your videos that the incandescent did nothing when to the body. Okay, so let me go through my questions just to wrap this up, our in a nutshell session here. And well, we kind of answered, what does the current that goes into your body do to you? And so we answered that question. I mean, from all the way from fibromyalgia and all of that into like cancer. I did want to ask on that, when the Russians did the Russian ambassador to the United States, Russian ambassador, what were they it's like the smart meter. What do you call this? So what were they pulsing the two men with? Like what frequency? Like, do you have any idea? Like what at what level it was, or is it just like the
Well, the
smart
Russians,
you have in a house? Or,
yes, I was actually at a top secret military lab in Moscow. The Russians actually have it down to a science, so they know which frequencies can cause what. And
yeah,
so they pulsed the U.S. Embassy. They gave the American ambassador leukemia. He came back. They put another one.
right,
Within 6 months, he had leukemia.
yeah,
So you see, they got rid of him. And remember, this is during the height of the Cold War. Everybody was talking nuclear war, nuclear disarmament, and things like that. So I was having a conversation once with a Russian, and he said, I said, well, why did you do that? He said, well, if you didn't like the guy, you could get rid of him. But, and it also causes confusion, things like that. So how would you like to be in a meeting and
and think,
having this conversation with people and they can't remember what their name was 2 minutes ago,
yeah,
and all of a sudden you're negotiating arms treaties and how many missiles are in a silo out in North Dakota somewhere. So they
yeah,
kind of made a joke of it, but you're negotiating these things, and if you don't feel good and things like that, maybe you'll concede something just to get
to
out
get
of the
rid of the
meeting or to
meeting.
get it over
Yeah.
with or something. So they
Yeah.
were doing that, yes.
So the smart meter. So I don't know. I mean, is that just the smart meters? Is that the same? They put,
Kinda. It's a pulsed or a modulated signal. And
yeah.
so if it's a continuous wave, it's one thing. But when you pulse it, it makes a big difference. It becomes much, much more dangerous when it's modulated.
And that is smart meters. That is now
Absolutely.
5G, right?
Well, the smart meter right now, the way the rollout is yes, it's not even 5G, and it's really bad.
But 5G itself is pulsing, isn't it?
It will, yes.
Yeah.
It'll be
So
a modulated signal. It's going to be a signal, and then they have to, in order for the data or anything like that, it will be pulsed. Yes, it'll be like a
so
modulated
so
signal.
if you're carrying your cell phone and it's not on airplane mode, and you're carrying it in your pocket, or I mean, what's going to get you no matter what, but it's going to affect reproductive organs. It's going to affect your organs, period, because it's on your body. You become a conductor, correct?
That's right.
And so it's just going to, so it's not a good thing. I really believe that at least in the near future, that the weapons in the future are going to be frequencies. Because I mean, a gun, yeah, you can shoot somebody, but I mean, frequencies, you can just get everybody. You can get whoever you want. You can get a population, and just buzz them, pulse them. And it's, I mean, like 5G.
I
It's
just read recently that there's a place in Kazakhstan, a city where everybody falls asleep, but there was this Russian battalion or something up in, I think, Novosibirsk, Siberia,
mhm.
and they claim that they have this weapon, and it actually puts you to sleep, or like sleeping sickness.
Yeah,
But you're right. And you got to, if you drop a bomb, you've destroyed all the infrastructure. So you have to go ahead and rebuild it.
yeah,
When we destroyed Japan, look at all, you couldn't live there for years, and,
yeah,
Hiroshima and things. So, but if you could just get rid of the people or make them, disable them, you still got the buildings, the infrastructure, everything you need. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that, even President Trump now is talking about Star Wars again, like in the
yeah. Um,
space weapons, I guess.
what do this is one thing that I don't. I know that I've talked to you about power lines, but power lines. There's so many power lines above people's homes. In fact, I have power lines above my home. And what does that do to your body? Power power lines.
Well, there's a huge magnetic field around. It depends on, the voltage and the current that's going through there. And there's a big electric field.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and it's not 60 hertz. The utility generates the 60 hertz, but after we use it and it goes back in through our computers and what we call nonlinear loads, electronic loads now, it
Yeah,
chops up that sine wave and we get all these high frequencies there. So, again, I'm not a doctor. I can't offer medical advice, but if you read the symptoms of radio wave sickness, that's from exposure to higher frequencies, and that's exactly what you're going to have, or should have, or will have, or could expect to have.
yeah. I always feel better when I'm not. like at home sometimes when we're RVing. I feel healthier, and it's like we're planning on moving.
Good.
Okay, so how far away do you need to be from power lines?
It depends. If you have a big, it's going to depend on the power line itself.
Yeah.
The voltages that if it's a distribution line, then you're probably not so far. But if it's a transmission line, and now we're building these big transmission lines, and one of the bad things that we're running into now is wind and solar are terrible polluters. I mean, the sine wave gets chopped up right away, and we're sending all these high frequencies along with the 60 cycle down the line. Now, the government comes along and says, okay, so much energy has to be clean or green by
Yeah.
a certain date. So, for example, Madison, Wisconsin, they need power. And so instead of building another gas-fired, natural gas-fired, or coal-fired or some sort of power plant right in Madison, they're taking wind from way up in North Dakota, and they're building these huge power lines, and they got to ship it long distances, and they're building the lines right through our area here, and and so, and I've measured this stuff as much as 3 miles away. So if there's a lot of trees and things like that, will help block some of it, and depends
Yeah.
on the infrastructure and the ground conditions. But I've measured it up as much as 3 miles away. So but that was kind of flat land and things like that. So,
Mhm.
so I can't give you a true number, but
Right.
if you can see it, I would be worried about it.
I am, especially after talking to you these last few months. Let's see what else I have. So discharging at night with just a piece of aluminum foil will better than an earthing mat or anything like that. I mean, well, an earthing mat that's not plugged in has the silver and copper and other things to discharge you, but it's an expensive way to do it. And so just to stand on an earthing mat on a piece of aluminum foil for a minute, right, can just discharge your body, and then you can sleep better.
Absolutely, yes.
Provided you don't have Wi-Fi routers on and power lines in your backyard and all the
Usually,
other.
I like to tell people to do it at night, because if you don't have your Wi-Fi on, and you're not working on your computer, and you're not under fluorescent lighting and things like that,
Yeah.
it okay. So your body will hold a charge. So if you discharge, it's like a capacitor, and so if you discharge at night and you're not doing anything to charge yourself back up again, okay, so then you should be discharged at night. You can go ahead, and you should be at least give you 8 hours or whatever you're sleeping, without being charged again. Now, you can take an Epsom salt bath. You can go ahead and buy an earthing mat, but don't plug it in. And I think they're like $150 or more, or less, whatever. Or you can stand on some sort of conductive surface or whatever. But the cheapest, most, and not that I'm a cheapo, you can just go ahead and stand on a piece of aluminum foil.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me see what else I have. When you showed the cell phone on airplane mode, and when it's on airplane mode, it's not transmitting and it's not receiving from the tower, right? So that's when it's safest, but it still emits radiation because you still had a signal on there in the video. So
It
what?
might have been something tailing down or something because usually on airplane mode, there's nothing. So when you first turn it off, it's connecting, or when you first turn it on or something. So that might have been something that I missed on the video, but there should have been no transmitting at all.
The text off
Oh, yeah.
charts. I was blown away with a text. People just text all the time. And I mean, I text, not a whole lot as much as some people, but man, the damage you are doing to your body with text is just off the charts. I could not, it went up to what, 2000 on the,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and that's just where your meter goes up to the top. So it could have been higher than that.
It was higher. Yeah. Peg did a 2000's all the meter goes.
Right.
And the meter's farther away from, the person who's texting is actually would have it right in her hand or his hand.
Right. So you're totally a conductor, right? You're totally,
Absolutely. Yeah. You're absorbing that energy.
oh gosh, that is like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I'll be, and she wasn't even touching it. Your assistant, she was just doing it like she knows.
Yes. But
Just did
touch
it.
it. It's when you push send, as soon as you push send, she's sending all this information and
Yeah.
it's transmitting.
So when she's touching it, she's just typing on a phone. And then when she hits send, if she takes her hands off, then she's still in that range, right? She's close to it. So
You
no matter
couldn't get far enough away fast enough.
you can't get away fast enough.
No, I don't think so.
Run backwards. Flex and then run. Okay, so I think that those were. I mean, your videos were. I think the difference between kilohertz and microwatts. If somebody got your system, the meter plus all the filters, that's gonna work in the home. That's not gonna help on the outside of the. It's just whatever is in the home, correct?
Yes, the most biologically active, like I said, I went to Russia, I've been to Moscow, I've been to St. Petersburg, I've been, consulting with the Russian Health Department, Kazakhstan, all these places, okay? So the most biologically active frequencies are between 4 kilohertz and 100 kilohertz. So when Martin Graham and I were developing these filters, we said, okay, where are you being exposed to these frequencies from? And it's the building's wires. The cell phone doesn't transmit 100 kilohertz. We're way out in the gigahertz. So what happens is the most biologically active frequencies are on the building's wires. And so we devised a method of taking them off, okay, cleaning up the building's wires. So they're the most biologically active frequencies. And there's been a lot of research published in peer-reviewed medical journals on those filters. I mean, 37 kids had asthma, put them in school, they don't have asthma. They don't use inhalers. I mean, that's public record, okay?
Yeah.
Blood sugar is a number that can be plotted against the number. So you lower the number on that meter, you lower the number on the wall, what you're being exposed to, the blood sugar goes down. Free radicals in the blood, pH in the saliva, neurotransmitters, dopamine levels. Those are numbers, okay, that can be plotted against another number.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the results are published in peer-reviewed medical journals. So that needs to be addressed and it needs to be taken care of, especially in big office buildings, things like that. So you need to get that number down. Then you need to go ahead and start. Nobody's going to throw their cell phone out, but
Right.
you can start using it wisely, a little better. Use it on airplane, like I don't even know where my phone is right now, but I'm terrible that way. No, I don't. It's maybe in my truck or something. I don't know. I come to work, but you can check your messages. You can cable the Wi-Fi, things like that. You don't use DSL. Use the cable. It's totally safe. The cable, things like that. You just got to get a little smarter and do things the way, and it's to reduce it. Now, I think your body, and again, I'm not a medical professional, but I think your body can repair damage, okay, that's being done to it. But it's going to have a hard time if you're damaging it faster than you can get it repaired.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, and it's a constant barrage
Yes.
of all. I mean, in the air, as you say, and in your home, and from power lines, and then the stray voltage, which is not stray, but
Ground current. Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And so just to wrap this up for my listeners and viewers, when you go outside, and we talked about this the other day, when you go outside and you are earthing, whether you're at the ocean or just in your grass in your backyard or wherever you are, 70% you said in North America, there's just stray voltage. And so what type of shock are you getting? Like what type of load? Does it vary on the wires, or is it, I mean, what kind of shocks are you getting in North America, not Europe? Because I know Europe's different and they have that line, the neutral line.
Europe doesn't use the Earth as a return. Now, it's hard to say what kind of shock you're getting because it's going to depend on the location, how the soil conductivity, things like that. But
Right.
as a current, I mean, I don't think you're going to get a shock. Although I can't say that because we've had several people, they can't get out of their swimming pool because the ground current's so bad. There's things called the shocking swimming pool because that's just earth current. And I've been involved in some even legal cases with that. There's people that in last summer there was, I think, 2 or 3 electrocutions alone from people swimming in a lake. They got electrocuted when they come to touch the boat dock or something.
Wow.
Yes, they died right there, and that's ground current.
Gosh.
So so it's getting worse.
Um,
The 70% figure, Lenny, was 1998 figures.
oh,
So it's more than that now. Yes.
so even if you go like into the forest and like the redwoods in California and you're walking through there, is there ground current there?
I can take 2 ground rods, and now I haven't been everywhere in North America.
No, I understand, but just
there hasn't been any place that I went and tested that I haven't found a 60 cycle sine wave between 2 ground rods. Just stick 2 screwdrivers in the earth and take a reading voltmeter between the 2, and you'll get a volt reading on AC. You get using an oscilloscope, so I actually see the waveform.
wow, that's I couldn't wrap my head around that because you're supposed to be connected to Mother Earth and the magnetic. We're electrical beings, and so we're getting shocked if we go into Earth.
If you had this sewage treatment plant or a chemical company, and they were allowed to just dump these chemicals anywhere they want, run it across your property, whatever, I mean, people would become unglued.
Oh yeah.
But you can smell it, you can see it, things like that. Excuse me. But so now we allow the electric utilities, because they're too cheap to put up a bigger wire to handle this current, to run their current through your house, on your water pipes, through your bodies, through your kids' bodies, through your animals, and cause damage. And guess who gets the bill? You.
Oh, that is just discouraging. Because I'm like such a huge proponent of earthing, like actually getting outside, getting dirt in your feet, and like all of that, and it's just not even a safe thing to do anymore. And that just is really upsetting to me. Okay, let's see what else I had. I think I got the light. Which lighting is best? We know the incandescent is the best. The LED, which you mentioned, the Xylo Tech, or whatever, that I got that down.
There's probably other ones. I know there's other ones out there, but I mean, this is the one we tested different ones, and this one here was okay. And it's the 100-watt. The lighting is, the color's kind of good, and we bought it at the local hardware store 50 miles away from here. But it's like, and it's private labeled for Menards, and they work, and I don't feel uncomfortable around them or having my employees or family around them.
Yeah, because you've measured them. So the best thing, some of the best things you can do, you already talked about, but like to get your filters, get those in your home. So at least inside your home, you're protected. If you have a smart meter, I know you have a cloth or something to put to send the pulsing outwards towards your neighbor.
We have, it looks like a piece of aluminum foil, but it's like, so it's a patent on it. Not our patent, but we sell it, but it's like $2 a foot, and it's 4 feet high. So, for $6, you got a 3-foot piece. You hang it on the opposite side of the wall for this smart meter, and reflects it out. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there that people are selling, and it looks like a stovepipe. You slide it over the meter, the glass part, and then they put a cap on it, They say,
Yeah.
oh, look at here. And they got this meter and they're standing out in the yard. And the levels do go down out in the yard because it's reflecting it. But that's not the problem. The problem is it going right straight through into the back. The back of the meter isn't protected, and so it comes right into the house. It actually concentrates the energy like a shotgun blast, and it comes right into the house. So you need to get out, cover it on the inside of the house or behind the meter socket.
Wow. And then if your neighbor has one, you got to do it on the other side where they.
Your neighbor's got one, you get it, but at least you have some distance from your neighbor a little bit. But yes, we really have a problem. The compact fluorescents that the government told us, well, you can't buy incandescents anymore, so the government's going to protect us with compact fluorescent lights. I tested 67 of them for Trent University out of, or 76, I'm sorry, Trent University in Canada. None of them were any good. They put between 50 kilohertz and 100 kilohertz, depending on the brand and wattage and stuff, on every wire in the whole house. Plus, they radiate through space, as you've seen in the video. You get close to them.
Yeah.
And that was only like an 11-watt bulb.
I know, that was that little green lamp.
Yeah, 11 watt. So think when you put the 100-watt in or the 60-watt, it's going a long distance.
Wow. It's no wonder there's so much sickness and disease, and I mean, in addition to all the other things, but my gosh, this has been so eye-opening. Your videos are so eye-opening. So I'll get those all up on YouTube, and we'll put this on both, iTunes, on the podcast and everything, with a link to the YouTube videos, and that'll be very eye-opening. It's eye-opening, and it's disturbing, and it didn't make me happy when I looked at it, because it's really funny when you hear it and you think, oh yeah, that's horrible. Then you see it and you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. Because then you know what's coming into your body, and it's like messing with the DNA and the cell and the strength of the cells and your blood, and making your blood viscous so that it can't pass through the arteries correctly. And so what is that going to do for your heart and heart disease, and on and on and on? It just like, we're 70% water. So what if you're not hydrating? And then it's a snowball effect. So, there's just so many pieces, moving parts, and there's just got to be something done with this. And I don't even know where I would begin, but I think I'm going to begin with my electric company. You can call your electric company to find out which kind of lines you have, power lines behind wherever you're at.
Yes. And if you go out and you count the insulators where the wire is, then you can tell the more insulators, the higher the voltage. But you hit the nail right on the head. Like Dr. Magda Havas has done research with this dark field microscope, and she can take your blood, and then we can plug the filters in or unplug them, and you can watch the blood draw it afterwards after you make a change, or like a cell phone, and she can expose you to like a deck phone, the cordless phones that most people are selling now in the homes or have in the homes. And your blood changes, and it's just a matter of a couple minutes. I mean, it isn't like hours or something, and your blood will clump way up, just like you said. It's proven. You can see it on the meter.
Yeah.
And I'm a meter guy, or I always tell people I'm the doubting Thomas. If you show me your nail holes, I will be, your best disciple. You need to show me on a meter. And like those little buttons that like we showed, or the foil on the cell phone, they do nothing. They're taking advantage of people's lack of knowledge. Not their lack of intelligence, but their lack of knowledge. And what upsets me about that is moms say, okay, here, my son can have his cell phone and use it more because he has this little button. My son is safe. Your son isn't safe. It makes no difference at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when you showed that on the video, these harmonizers, or buttons as you call them. It
does nothing.
I wanted to believe that.
But think about it.
I'm like,
when you make a call on your cell phone, okay, there's a lot of information that's being transmitted. Number one, Lenny made the call. who gets the bill? Who's the time that you used it is being, right? There, actually, the NSA is even recording your conversation, I guess, or whatever. No, but okay, but all kinds of stuff. How much data did you use? All those things. That's all being on this wave. If you change that wave, how do you make the call? Your phone will not work. That phone is your phone. When you signed up for it, you have a specific, it's on a certain frequency. This information belongs to you. So if you're changing it in any way, shape, or form, how does it work? It can't. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it, Dave. I wasn't happy when I saw the videos, but I was ecstatic to see the videos because it really shows it just really helps. And so, and the earthing mat, that was such an important one because so many people, I did that. I earthed for years. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, what damage have I done to my body? And I even told myself, oh, you feel better every day. It's just that's mind over matter. So that's really important thing though. But still, what damage was I incurring? Probably a lot. So you try and be healthy and you try and do everything that you can. And it just comes down to knowledge and understanding. That was, and that's my purpose for my listeners and viewers. And I hope that they, take this to their, take it to heart and make sure that their children are protected the best way they can, that everything's on airplane mode and because you can still play games and you can still take pictures and you can still do all the things. You just can't use it as a phone and then just use it like the way phones were used long ago. You're home and you have a phone. You're out unless you just need to use it. And then you use it and then you put it back in airplane mode, which I've been doing that a lot. I'm getting into a really good habit of doing that. So I feel much better. I even put it on airplane mode at night when I go to bed. I just put it on airplane mode.
Oh, definitely. Sure.
Yeah. And the other thing is the computer. Like right now I'm on the computer and yes, there's Wi-Fi, but it is not plugged in. So, it's on battery power. So, and I've been doing that as well. So these are just little things that can help us to live a better, healthier life. And when we pass this information on to others, it's going to take a big movement to get for these power companies to clean up their act with the stray voltage. It's ugly. It is ugly. And then to just get your filters for the dirty electricity inside the home. And then there's just so many things that we can do. So, and to take care of ourselves and our health and keep our blood healthy and less risk for cancer and all of that. There's enough things out there, that are coming at us. So if we can minimize this in any way, we're just going to feel better and do better and be healthier. I don't even know how we're alive. I don't even know. It's oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's just crazy. So, but we're doing good. We're still alive. We're healthy. All right, Dave. Well, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think you're doing a good job.
Okay, I am most incredibly grateful for these videos and for you taking the time to do them. That was a lot of effort on your part, setting up a whole studio type area. Even if you say it was unprofessional, it's all somebody needs just to see it. And I'm eternally grateful for you, for the viewers, to see that. So, it's just knowledge is power, and this is in your face knowledge. You can't get away from it with these videos.
I do apologize for the quality. Like I said, we're electrical specialists here, and we look at things from an engineering standpoint, but we're not videographers or actors or anything like that. So we just kind of grabbed my daughter and said, "Here, we got to do some stuff here for."
Yeah.
So.
It was perfect, and thank her for being shocked and radiated and all of that on my behalf.
She's another one that has 2 cell phones, so it's painter doesn't paint his own house, right?
Yeah, and the mechanic doesn't fix his own car.
Yeah, the shoemaker, I think it's true. And they know better, she knows, of all people, should know better, but, why do you need 2 cell phones? Actually, I was in Walmart one time and I seen 2 girls walking and they were texting. And I didn't think anything of it. And pretty soon they're texting each other and they're side by side. So can't you have a conversation?
Yeah, it's a whole different world with the young people. They've grown up with this technology, and it's killing them. It's killing their reproductive system. It's killing their brains. It's just, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, right now we're at 1 in 2 people will have cancer in their lives. So like you and me are talking, one of us could have cancer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just really what you know, and how well you can protect yourself, and even with the 5G, even 4G, but 5G coming and all of that's being set up in so many places. Somebody just told me last week that they've set up 5G right around their apartment complex, and they're getting ready to turn it on. And I was like, wow, I mean, it's here. So
It's my understanding there hasn't been any research done on it, and they're rolling it out.
When is there ever research done on anything? There wasn't any research done on microwaves, and everybody's using their microwaves like crazy all the time. I mean, I have a microwave and I use it for storage, and it's unplugged. And even in our RV, it's unplugged. I use it for storage. It's just like, I mean, it's so hazardous to your health. And I can tell people, but it's convenient. And people are all about convenience. So the phone is a convenience. It's another thing. So
it doesn't leak, right? They tell you that?
Yeah, it doesn't leak.
A real cheap test. One time I was telling people, I said, okay, look, take your cell phone and put it in the microwave. Now don't turn the microwave on, but put the cell phone in the microwave and then dial from another phone, call your cell phone.
And it'll ring, right?
Of course.
And if it rings, that means that
Well, remember, it doesn't leak. Well, how do those waves get in there?
Yeah. It leaks. Yeah. Otherwise, if it didn't, it wouldn't ring.
Yeah. And if you take this HF35C, the meter that I was using,
yes,
and you put a glass of water in the microwave, and we have people turn it on, it pegs the meter. And the worst ones are the ones that kind of vary it, and the power goes up and down, and they're really bad.
Oh, I guess I don't know about those. I do not look at microwaves at all.
Mine's in the garage, so
it's just more for the landfill, which sickens me. Our landfill, that's another thing. But Dave, thank you so incredibly mucho. I'm super grateful to you and your team. Thank everybody, Adam and your daughter and your assistant daughter for getting radiated for us and electrocuted and all of that. We're all of us are in eternally grateful to you. So thank you so very much.
What else, people? Thanks.
Okay. See. Thanks for listening to the Wild and Free Healthy You podcast. I appreciate you so incredibly mucho. Make sure you always take care of you first, because your health is your number one asset. To listen to more podcasts, check out LinnyMotivates.com and follow me on Instagram @LinnyMotivates. Don't forget to share them with your family and friends. Remember to always be your biggest fan and your biggest cheerleader, because no one can love you more than you can. Take care of you. Ciao.